out of bed, bitch, go. Get up, and they got go. Time to wake up, bitch, get up. Get up, get up.
You fucker! You laughed, you mocked, you shut us down. Called us names, tried to run us out. You pushed too hard, took too much. Now you're the ones who've lost their touch. You rigged the game, you changed the rules. Gaslit the world, played us for fools. But tides have turned, the storm is near. Cry all you want, we're still here. Faithful, fuck around and find out. You tried to rule, but your time ran out. Faithful, the silent won't stay quiet now. We're taking back what you burned to the ground. Censorship, lockdowns, all your control. Built your throne on a house of gold. Now you panic, now you cry. Tears don't work, truth don't lie. The games are done, the mask fell off. No more lies, we've had enough. You played with fire, now taste the flame. This time, we're naming names. Faithful, fuck around and find out. You tried to rule, but your time ran out. Faithful, the silent won't stay quiet now. We're taking back what you burned to the ground. You called us threats, you called us extreme, but we remember everything. From 24 and beyond, take your bets, 'cause guess what? We ain't done yet. Faithful, fuck around and find out. Your kingdom's crumbled, your luck ran out. Faithful, no more games, no more doubts. You lit the fire, now it's burning you down.
What up? How you guys doing today? I got up at 3:30 in the morning to try and make today a little bit special. We got a lot to cover. I'm actually going to cheat. I didn't get approval from Funstrap for this, but we're going to fucking do it anyway. We're going to watch 9.5 minutes of his analysis last night on what he thinks is happening in markets and where we're headed next. I've got 50 active referrals with Tom, so I feel like he can give me this one video. But yeah, no, I think it's a really good day today, guys. I'm really excited. Yeah, I got this from a friend. He hates me now because of my political beliefs, but he got me a good shirt, so I appreciate him for that. But yeah, I think good stuff is happening. I'm really excited. We got Canadian GDP, Canada, whatever. But we got core PCE, personal income, personal spending, good trade balance, PCE price information, retail inventories, wholesale inventories, Chicago PMI, We got a lot. We got a lot going all the way up until 8:45 today. So we're rocking it a little early. We got a lot to cover too. I'm going to tell you why I think we hit the bottom and why, even if I'm wrong, it doesn't really matter that much, and why I'm starting to lever in right here. But again, I've got options, right? We know that literally I have options, which has not been a lot of fun over the last week or two. I'm not going to lie. I will not lie to you. It's not been a great time. But outside of that, let's see. Does it go this way? All right. So I always get it with the camera. I always get it backwards. Okay. I think I got my glasses right. All right, cool. Yeah, it has been a painful mess, but I'm really excited. I kind of indicated some of this earlier. Let's hop in here real quick. Let's go to some of my recent posts, and we got a lot to cover. Today is going to be action-packed, guys. Not a lot of downtime today. But again, I posted this on February 25th. I said this is the current Bitcoin drop, was nothing compared to every other month in 2017. So when I referenced that, I referenced this, right? This is 2017. This is the world I came from. This is when I was born into investing in markets, and I lost everything. But I learned a lot. I learned about halvings. I started to learn a lot about a starter pack of economics. I learned a ton about TA, and then it just kept building from there. So this was when I really got my nose to the grindstone and started to get to work. And if there's anything I've learned, it's during times like this that you can really be made and turn into something. And so, again, when it hurts, what you have to do is go, okay, this is painful. What do I do next? What do I do next? How do I get out of this? How do I make money? How do I turn this around? And so when I posted this a few days ago, 3 days ago, I referenced the fact that this time is different, and the fact that we didn't drop that much. We dropped like 21%, right? And I showed my max pain level here. You could see it, which actually is like right where we just landed. It could go lower. It could totally go lower. We could drop like another less than 10%. But I think this is max pain. And so I said, the big difference this time, leveraged and proxy plays have been gutted. Whether it's altcoins, Bitcoin miners, 2x funds, traditional leverage, margin accounts, they've been gutted, utterly gutted. And that's actually a good thing. That's what you want to see. And so, again, we hit those numbers. We hit it almost perfectly, right? You can see where we are, where we got this volume over here, just a little bit above it. And if today's data is good, I think this is the drop. I think this is it. And if it's not, that's fine. We can keep grinding down. You have to remember, what are we thinking about right now, guys? What are we thinking about right now? What do we have in front of us? What kind of painful data do we have in front of us? Well, outside of war with China, I think we have it all. We've got 20% tariffs against China. We've got 20% tariffs against Europe because of their VAT tax. We've got reciprocal tariffs with the entire world. We fought with Canada. We fought with Mexico. We fought with Colombia. We fought with Ukraine. Now Ukraine, we're talking about maybe getting them land back on a Mariupol region if we can. We fought with everybody. We're enduring pain now, and we're enduring it for a reason. And Tom Lee's going to eloquently tell you why that is. But I've kind of been telling you too. So before we get to Tom Lee, let's look at what I've been saying to you, okay? This is Andre Steno-Larsen. I love this. He actually shows the ISM manufacturing from yesterday. And he said, here's the de-risk zone. And here's the buy and accumulate zone, and we're getting into positive territory in manufacturing. You'd have to be really stupid to be pessimistic right now. Now, yesterday, I posted something, and I want to talk about it right now. Before I get to it, I want to show you one other metric that I posted today. So this is the CNN Fear and Greed Index. I've got subscriptions to additional services so that you guys don't necessarily have to pay for all of them, right? This is a good one. It's macro to micro, or macromicro.me. Originally, I wanted to be macro to micro, but I couldn't find it. So everybody had already done that. So I had to go micro to macro in the opposite direction of the way I really look at things. But whatever, a little bit of bitterness there, but I'm okay. What I wanted to say here is the CNN Fear and Greed Index is at its second lowest level since October of 2022. And if that's not some signal, I don't know what is, okay? I don't know what is. Can we go lower? Sure. Then we'll be at a match with October of 2022, which was the bottom of the bear market. And you can see what the fucking S&P has done since then in this red line. So we could go lower. That could happen. But I'm excited. I'm excited about what's happening right now. And I don't think we're anywhere near a bear market. And so I said something over here. I said, This is from a post I did yesterday. Somebody told me it was like an emit post, which I find flattering, but also at the same time, I thought I did a better job. So it's like I'm a little conflicted on there. But it said, we've had one of the biggest drops in GDP growth over the last 25 years, only comparable to the 2008 great financial crisis. So why do I think we're on the edge of an age of abundance like mankind has ever seen that starts in the good old USA this year? And so if we look here, and again, we're going to, Fundstrat actually, after all this, I don't know if he's reading my stuff. I'm kidding. I'm not, my ego is that big. But he kind of validated a huge amount of these points in here. So we'll reference that too in his 9-minute video. But if you look over here, so you could see the GDP drops that we've sustained going back to the early 90s, actually. And if you look over here, you can see this one. And I made them into boxes because I wanted to show depth and time, okay? So the wider it is, the more time, the deeper it is, the more depth. And so you can see this one. It's like, you can see the 2008 great financial crisis. And it's like, well, shit, that was a pretty big drop in GDP during that time. And I try and get it like kind of when the crisis started. So that was a pretty big drop in GDP and for a decent amount of time. And then the 2020 pandemic obviously was very short-lived, but also a very deep drop, kind of like 2008. But this last one, it's not as deep of a drop, but the sheer amount of time that we've been in negative territory has been, or I shouldn't say negative territory, technically it's been closer to 0 and 2%, but the sheer amount of time from this drop is huge, and you can see we're crawling our way out of it. And more importantly than that, there's a lot of other points I made here. So again, why do I think we're at the edge of an age of abundance like mankind has ever seen, and it starts in the good old USA this year? And here, let me see here. I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. Is that better? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that works. So, 1, pro-growth policies. No taxes on overtime, Social Security, and tips. These aren't implemented yet, but this is what we're working towards, and I think there's a really high likelihood that it happens. I'm following congressional shit all the time so that you don't have to, okay? Let me just adjust my Bitcoin chart a little bit here. It's a little ugly. Could get better. Let me see here. There we go. Now we got a better view. Oh, hey, we're looking to try and get above the 200 moving daily average, which is like usually a sign if you're under this, you're in a bear market. If you're over it, you're not. And it's really, really true on the weekly time frame, but the daily is pretty true too. So we want to get above that. I think it's a good time to get above that. We'll talk about more of that later. But yeah, so no taxes on overtime, Social Security, and tips. Increased corporate tax breaks. Not just an extension, but looking to do more of them. 100% accelerated depreciation for new factory construction in the USA. So again, that's why you see Apple talking about building 20 factories here at 20,000 employees and spending $500 billion over the next 4 years, along with a bunch of other companies, right? And that's only going to continue. Incentives for business to be done in the USA to avoid tariffs. Gold, too. All the gold's coming here. We'll talk about that. Push to lower energy cost, a base cost that exists across the entire supply chain of products purchased. If you think about it, if energy costs are high, then the transportation costs are high. All the COGS have transportation included in them. All these things like take energy and have a base cost to them that just trickles through the entire supply chain. And so having low energy prices is going to be really helpful with all of that. Deregulation, which can have the following benefits: increasing margins for companies, allowing more innovation, less hoops to jump through, which increases the odds of success, and it gives companies more options. The Gold Card program, I got some shit about this yesterday. So $5 million path to U.S. citizenship and expedited process. I think this is brilliant. I think if we got 200,000 people that sign up for this in the first year, we'd see $1 trillion in revenue for the U.S. government. That alone would get us between 40 to 50% of the way to sustainable budget. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, actually said that he believes that the total right now is for people that would be willing to do this is about 275,000. So over $1 trillion in revenue that we could make from this, which would help a lot towards getting towards a balanced budget. Again, just a great option that I didn't see coming. Again, think about the builders, guys. Don't listen to the naysayers that tell you how negative everything is. Listen to the people that are brilliant and build. Did you think of this fucking program? Did you know that this was going to be coming? Did you think that we could gain an extra $1 trillion in revenue by creating a gold card program that allows people to get into the United States and have an expedited process? I didn't, but there are builders and brilliant people in Trump's administration that did, okay? And this is just one example of how they're doing this kind of stuff. Two, deflationary stances. Tom Lee will talk about this more. He seems to agree exactly with what I've been saying. He said, well, he didn't say this. I said this part, but we'll get to his stuff in a second. I said re-immigration, and I put an E in there because it's kind of the opposite of immigration. It says, this lowers prices in a number of sectors because we will reduce demand. Think housing, rentals, auto, and more. Also, the financial burden that came from our government supporting 10 million illegal immigrants who can't easily enter the workforce in a low unemployment environment and or because they don't speak good English or don't fit required roles, it's like, that's problematic, right? So getting rid of that, these guys are more of a burden on our financial system than they are a benefit to it, right? So this is something that will help with deflation too, because I believe a lot of housing and rental costs alone were being propped up by this, and they're going to go away. Also, you're going to see a lot of used cars on the market if these people had cars here and loans on them and they get deported. Tariffs. First, they're not inflationary. I mean, technically, they can cause a short blip in inflation. So people always say, they're like, oh, they're inflationary. Oh, they're not inflationary. The truth lies somewhere in between. So there is a little blip of it because, again, people that are willing to pay will pay a higher price. So you'll see a little markup in prices paid. But here's the key difference that a lot of people seem to miss that are like, oh, tariffs are inflationary. Like I watched that video with Tom Lee and then Anthony Scaramucci, and I love Anthony Scaramucci. I actually think he's really brilliant. He seems to be very clouded by politics. And don't get me wrong, I'm very political right now too, but I don't let it cloud my judgment, or at least try not to, especially when it comes to money. And he's just wrong. He was talking about how inflation or tariffs are inflationary, but he's not referencing the fact that the inflation rate was 1.5% for Donald Trump in his first term when he applied roughly $300 billion of tariffs. I don't know if it was $300 billion or if that was the amount that was applicable to it and then what we received for whatever. Anyway, but when he applied massive tariffs to China and everybody was worried about inflation and we didn't get it. So that's a really important thing to understand. There's rules about supply and demand that counter this really quickly. And so inflation ends up causing a lot more pain in the country receiving the tariffs than the country putting them out there. In the end, this could be more deflationary as heavy tariffs could slow down economic activity within countries under strong tariffs, which means, if anything, these push us closer to lowering Fed rates. Tom Lee's going to talk about that in this video that we're going to watch in a little bit. But essentially, you could have a short-term blip and costs paid, and then consumer buying patterns change, and they're like, you know what? And not just consumers, businesses. They look and they go, which goods do we absolutely have to have, and which ones can we put off so that we can stay within our budget? And so it's not like there's this perpetual extended cost. You can get some of that in basic needs, right? So maybe there's some energy tariffs that will carry over for a while, and that will cause little bits of inflation. But overall, I will say this: the way that we're going about this, I think, you'll get some initial pain, like we're feeling right now, and maybe this is it, just from everybody front loading and being worried about tariffs. And then what you'll see is a more deflationary environment, and that deflationary or disinflationary environment will actually make it to where the Fed has to lower rates quicker. It's a really crucial thing that you understand this. This is the plan. This is what they're doing. And we'll talk about more than that in a second here with Scott Bessent. And again, just listening to Tom Lee. I put DOGE. We're on a strong path to automate and increase efficiencies while reducing costs substantially. Did you guys remember that whole how retirement people weren't able to retire sometimes because the elevator might break in this mountain where they keep all the retirement info for the federal government, and they could only retire 10,000 people a month because of the physical limitations of the elevator. And again, they literally couldn't retire people if the elevator broke, which happens sometimes. Well, DOGE has pulled in the help of the Airbnb CEO, and he has helped automate that process, and they've already processed their first digital retirement. This is the kind of shit I am talking about. There's a problem a week ago that's already fucking fixed today, and they're going to be able to digitize and eliminate that entire group and automate it and drop the expense cost of it by 90%. If you can't see the benefit of that and how quickly that's happening, I can't fucking help you. Anyway, I said if you don't believe me, look at every company Elon Musk has owned. You'd have to be an idiot to think that we won't make government systems much more efficient than they've ever been. This is an historical fucking moment. 4, the DOGE dividend coming soon. This would help us stimulate the economy more. I do believe that this will end up happening. I'm hoping that Elon takes my personal advice, which I got some of this from you guys, and cuts checks for $420.69 a month to everybody that paid in. I think that would be a brilliant idea. By the way, if you're looking in the bottom left, we're almost above the 200 moving average on the daily. I am looking to apply probably $300,000 in capital towards leveraged investments today so that I can capitalize those in the months ahead. And if we drop more, fucking cool. I'm still going to have well over $500,000 in TLT. All right, let's keep going. Number 5, the above will be huge positive for trust in our bond market, which we need to have in order to lower rates. Tom Lee will talk about this in his video today too. Which all Americans, maybe I should get him on here sometime. I don't know if he'd do that. Which all Americans benefit from, including the U.S. government, who desperately needs to lower rates in order to lock in the longer-term debt. This also is very pro-growth, but will operate on a lag. Think second half of the year. Tom Lee, I think, goes into a little bit of that, at least the higher level. 6, AI agents, robotics, and autonomy. David Sachs has a post that I want to show you that shows that business creation is accelerating at a parabolic rate because of AI agents. And again, this pro-growth, young people, hungry people, people that want to get rich, people that want a positive future. They're looking around, and you know what they're saying? They're saying, damn, there's never been a better opportunity for me to disrupt. Insert here. There's never been one. And so they're trying to do that. They're going, you know what? I could do this. And they're creating businesses. We'll look at a post about that a little bit later. But yeah, AI agents, robotics, autonomy, and other sciences like genomics are gaining in efficiency at parabolic levels not seen in modern history. As Kathy would like to say, as these different things converge, we'll see a golden age like mankind cannot imagine. I go, what do you think? Am I wrong? Did I miss anything? Thanks for my TED Talk. Come into my TED Talk. And again, there's a bunch of responses in here, and they were pretty good. But that's something I wanted to cover right away. Okay? I wanted to cover that right away. Now, I want to listen to some other stuff. I want to listen to Scott Bessent, the man who's in charge right now. Jerome Powell is not fucking in charge right now. This guy's his boss. Okay? This guy is his boss. And what he says goes. Trust me, the Fed might be independent, but they ain't that fucking independent compared to this guy. This guy rules them. Let's listen to what he has to say.
This all at once. We were left with a terrible situation, 6.7%, 6.9% deficits to GDP, and we're going to bring this down slowly, reprivatize the American economy, reinvigorate the regulated banking system, and the private sector. I'm a deficit hawk, but we are not going to be able to.
So again, what is he talking about? Deregulation, reprivatizing the American economy. And that we're going to bring this down slowly. So here's the thing. And he says he's a deficit hawk. So what he's telling you is that they're okay with the market getting hit a little bit over the short term in order to be able, and jobs getting hit, getting rid of government jobs that aren't efficient over the short term. They don't give a shit. They don't care if the government shuts down because of the budget ceiling. Nobody cares. They want to lower the expenses for the federal government, and they want to force people into the private sector. This is the game plan. It's not a fucking accident. It's what they're trying to do. And with good reason, because they want to bring down the 10-year. How are they doing on that, guys? Well, since Trump became president, they're doing pretty good. Let me just pull this up here. So down again today, TLT's starting to come up a little bit. It looks like it's 0.21% on the day. But again, this thing isn't much higher than it was, and it looks like it's going to roll over. If anything, maybe TLT doesn't go up too much over the short term because so many people are hopping back into stocks. But I think as they're hopping into stocks and they start to get gains from it, that they'll start to roll into TLT more as we see the 10-year rolling over, because this is going to happen. This megaphone pattern is breaking down, okay? It's going down, and this is a good thing. It's a good thing. We need to have sustainable debt loads. We need to be able to have poor people who are seeing record defaults on credit cards and autos. We need to see them be able to afford their shit and be able to refinance it. That's what Scott wants to make happen. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do because the government needs to do this too. And $8 trillion is a lot of money to have to refinance later in the year. So these rates will come down. And he said at the appropriate time, he will start doing longer rates. That doesn't even mean he'll do it this year, this $8 trillion that needs to be pushed out. I'm sure a decent chunk of that will be done with longer term if they're in a good place to do it. If they're not, they won't. They'll kick the can down the road. He's already told us that, even though brilliant economists thought he would. All right, real quickly. Here's Howard Lutnick telling you that he thinks, 250,000 potential buyers are sitting on the sidelines. We know there's a list of about 350,000 that want green cards, but he thinks that there's probably at least 250,000 that want the $5 million gold card, which would be $1 trillion in revenue.
Are they going to be vetted, first of all?
Of course. Deeply vetted, and we said that from the first minute go. These are vetted people. These are going to be great global citizens who are going to bring entrepreneurial spirit, capacity, and growth to America. If one of them comes in, think of the jobs they're going to bring with them, the businesses they're going to bring with them, and they're going to pay American taxes as well. So this is huge money for America.
And how many people are waiting in this line currently?
So there are 250,000 people waiting in line now. If they're willing to pay the $5 million, that's over $1 trillion. That comes directly to $1.25 trillion just for that line. And I think these people are going to come enormous ways because they know they can come into America and they can be in the greatest country on earth.
I 100% agree. Dario, you seem down, dude. You sold everything after New Year. It's been sideways or down. CleanSpark, PayPal, MSTR, Tesla, all red. 3 months of leaps, no gains, bear market, cash flow down. If rates go up, we're screwed. Wow, dude. Maybe you need to go back and watch the beginning of my video. Okay? All right, so here we go. America is sucking up the world's gold. Here's why. So everybody thought we were trying to fill up Fort Knox. That's not what's fucking happening. That's not what's happening. The gold is in Fort Knox. Scott said it. I believe him. Here's what's happening. Gold is flooding into New York at a rate that's turning heads. Since December, over 600 tons have been hauled into the U.S. vaults. Gold that would normally sit in London. Traders aren't taking chances with Trump's looming tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports. With fears that restrictions could expand, investors are scrambling to move bullion stateside. The price gap between the U.S. and global gold markets is widening, and supply chains are getting wrecked. Some analysts say America now holds 4 years' worth of gold demand. At this pace, how much is enough? So everybody's coming here. Everybody's coming here with the gold. And think about this. Think about the fact that we have the largest Bitcoin mining facilities here too, and that we're pulling in more hash than any other place on the planet. It's all really good. Toby171 says there's no way there's that many with 5 million that are waiting. I talked about this actually in a different post. How many millionaires are there? Let me find it again real quick. I think there's 37 million millionaires that aren't in the United States. I think we have like 22. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. So what we're looking for is what about? I don't even know. What is that number? What is 250,000 of 37 million? You guys tell me what percentage of millionaires we're looking to pull in from around the world. And I'm sorry, even if it's $500 billion, I'll take it. So you guys are fun today. You guys are super bearish. JT, anyone else wish that they just had one of those gold bars? I don't really like gold that much. I do like my gold credit card, though. I like my gold Robinhood credit card. I like hearing it. I had a guy. I went out to lunch last week with my nephew because he got off his house arrest, which I was very excited about. Anybody who remembers that whole thing, he's on probation right now, but hopefully in a year we'll get him off of that, and we'll be able to get the stuff that happened removed from his record. Do not drink and carry guns and pull them out on people. That's all I have to say. But he's a good kid, and now he's an adult, and hopefully this stuff disappears out of his life. But I went to lunch with him and took him out to eat, and the waiter at the end of it, he came back with my card, and he goes, "Wow, that's so heavy. It felt like real gold." And I was like, "It is." And he's like, "No shit. How do you get one of those?" And I'm like, "You got to be a cool influencer like me." And then he just laughed at me. But I don't know if he was super impressed, but I love having it. And it's awesome that my credit card is gaining value. I love that. That doesn't happen a lot. All right, here's another one from Secretary Bessent. This is talking about the Ukrainian deal, which will be finalized today.
I went to Kyiv 2 weeks ago and met with President Zelensky. Since then, we have struck a deal. Their governing council approved the deal last night. So I
Whatever.
have an agreement from their economics minister. So the deal is done. President Zelensky is coming here to sign the deal tomorrow. So there is no more negotiation. There is nothing else. I'm sure President Zelensky and President Trump will have a wide-ranging discussion. But as far as the deal, it is complete. It is on paper, and the Ukrainian government has approved it. It is just awaiting the signature of the two heads of state tomorrow. And it is a deal on strategic minerals, oil and gas, and infrastructure assets. And it's really a win-win because it brings the Ukrainian people and the American business community closer together. It shows the American people.
Yeah, so again, Ukraine and Europe are like, guys, you gotta say that America will come in if Russia comes in, and like you'll defend. And Trump keeps reiterating this over and over again. He doesn't want to say that we'll form a pact against Russia because he's in negotiations with Putin. And I watched about a half an hour video with Putin yesterday during an interview that was a really good one from this last week. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. But what we're trying to do is make it to where, again, we have relationships for mineral rights, both with Ukraine and with Russia. We're probably going to buy aluminum from Russia, energy from Russia, and rare earth minerals. And so we'll get all those things with him. That's what Putin wants to sell us, at least. And he very much wants to get out of this war. If you watch the video I posted, nobody did. I don't know, maybe half of you are Ukrainian and you hate him. I get it. But it's smart and it's intelligent to listen to world leaders that are on the biggest stage in the world that are working through deals that are going to impact you and your portfolio. So I still watch it. And I've been watching Putin for a very, very long time, just like I've watched thousands of hours of information about Ukraine and the war between Russia and Ukraine, so that I can learn as much as possible so I can figure out who's posturing and what things mean. So I can tell you this, we're going to get mega deals with Ukraine and with Russia. We'll finalize Ukraine this week, today. And then next week, we'll be talking with Russia, maybe even going to Moscow, or at least having video conference calls with Putin to talk over the details of ending the war there. He is very, very, very much wanting to end the war. He's making it super clear he wants it to be done. I told you I'd bring this up. David Sachs, the AI boom is here. According to payments company Stripe, our 2024 data shows these startups are building businesses at a record pace. Record. Medium to time to annualized revenue milestone. So if you look at your top 100 AI companies by revenue on Stripe in 2024 is 24 months for the medium time to annualized revenue milestone, whereas the top 100 SaaS companies by revenue in 2018 was 37 months. So they're not only doing this, they're doing it quicker. I heard the tea in Moscow is to die for. Nice. Thanks for that, man. Martin Pilda. Love to see how people this bearish and capitulated means everyone. Oh, dude, there's so many data points that we'll talk about. All right, so I said I don't think MBS has to be that problematic. So somebody was talking about this other video. This guy's just like Andy Constant, just super bearish. The world's coming to an end. Quantitative 2.0, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But I said, I don't actually think the mortgage-backed securities and selling those off is going to be bearish. I think that the way that they're going to construct it, and Scott Bessent being one of the most brilliant financial minds probably on this planet at this time frame in history, will do a good job making sure that they have the liquidity to be able to sell off that industry. And I think banks are more than willing to gobble it up. And I also think that Scott Bessent is in control of the ship right now, which is why I'm the captain now, and that the Fed, again, is his little bitch. That's my take. The dollar. I said dollar continues to fall. When I said this, it was at 106.53 or something. Right now it's at 107 because it popped a little bit yesterday. But It's falling today. Oil's falling. We're back under 70 again today. Gold is falling, and so do most of the indices. Let's keep going. U.S. credit card defaults. So again, these are the people that we need to help the most. Lowering of Social Security will help these guys who are defaulting because these are the poorest people in our country. Lowering Social Security taxes or eliminating them completely, eliminating overtime taxes, eliminating taxes on tips, which affect all these people who have second jobs, all the DoorDash people, they got to pay taxes on those fucking tips. Not anymore when this is through. Same with waiters and waitresses. They're all going to love Trump. And again, James' thing about ignore the noise, M2's ticking up. Sure, velocity, I don't know if that is yet. And then again, retail investors have turned decisively bearish. Just looking at the AII bull bear spreads show that essentially going all the way back to 2015, we're right at the most bearish levels ever. All right. Now we do have other stuff to talk about. But we're going to go to Tom Lee. We're going to listen to our boy Tommy Lee, with his own proprietary stuff that hopefully he will not yell at me about, because I'm showing you. But we're going to listen to it because it's incredibly insightful, and he reiterates a lot of my thoughts. And since I conveyed some of these thoughts before other people did, I'm feeling pretty validated today. Here we go. And just to be clear, guys, I've got about 50 active membership referrals with Tom Lee right now. A lot of people have signed up. I appreciate that. I would like to see more people signing up with him. If you can afford it, this is a no-brainer. It is one of the best memberships you can get. And again, I'm not even supposed to share this with you, but I'm going to do it today because a lot of people are scared, and I want you to see just how good the quality of his content is. Real quickly, though, I'm going to get rid of this because it's interfering with my view. What? Just get the fuck off my screen, bitch. All right, thank you. Fuck off. Okay, there we go. Here we go.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Thursday, February 27th, and this is our Macro Minute. Stocks attempted to rally this morning at the open, but those gains were quickly reversed because tariffs came back into the headlines. President Trump reiterated not only his intention to implement tariffs next week, but to increase the tariffs for China by an additional 10%. And that message was reiterated throughout the day. That, of course, put pressure on stocks, and it really raised the question from investors, what is the White House trying to achieve by talking about tariffs and DOGE, and how are they going to measure their success? Now, keep in mind, the White House has said that in the near term, their goalpost, and this is from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, is not necessarily the stock market at the moment, but it's really to bring down long-term borrowing costs. Now, let me explain why that goal makes sense at this moment, but it doesn't rule out or change the fact that there is a White House put. And let me explain. This is it in a nutshell, that there's lower costs associated with lower interest rates, and some of these goals are going to be achieved by tariffs and government spending cuts and even weaker jobs. But here's the thing. If the economy weakens too much and even gets close to stall speed, then we start to increase recession risk. And then the White House put has to come into play, but it has to entirely reverse all the austerity because, as you know, the only way to stave off a recession is a huge injection of liquidity and fiscal stimulus.
All right.
So
he's going to talk about this in a second. We do have about 4 minutes until we get new economic data. We will cut to that and come back to this. But essentially what he's saying here, guys, is we don't want to stall. The White House doesn't want to stall, okay? They do want to ensure that they create enough pain to force the Fed to do their bidding, okay? But outside of that, they don't want to stall because the last thing they want to do is inject a bunch of liquidity and create inflation and then have more problems. So we're not going to do that.
The White House actually wants to avoid stall speed. So let me kind of walk you through this in order. First,
and to be clear, you're not getting this anywhere else, and I won't be sharing this all the time. This is just me trying to help people that really, really need it right now. This is something that costs $250 a month if you get the full suite.
Lower interest rates means lower mortgages for consumers, which is a good thing. And lower interest rates means refinancing costs for corporates is lower. And it was, as we know, there is a maturity wall ahead. For instance, in commercial real estate, you could see this huge maturity wall over the.
To be clear, there's maturity walls in everything. Commercial real estate, the CREs, are definitely one of them, but the federal government is another, and then everybody's personal finance out of all these people that are super poor are more, okay? So we've got to bring rates down. That is the primary objective. Slow the economy and then boost it. Boost it with checks, but boost it while the Fed is lowering rates, while people believe that the 10-year is that they should lock in yields, while they think the world is slowing, because we're putting pressure on the world to make them slow in order to lower and make trade barriers basically non-existent so that we can increase manufacturing. People forever have been saying, and I'll just finish these thoughts and then we'll get ready for the 7:30 data and then we'll come back to this because we got 7.5 minutes left. But people forever have been like, wait, Trump is so stupid. What is he? You can't have manufacturing and a strong dollar, but the stuff they're doing is going to create a strong dollar. And then how they're going to get manufacturing and be competitive? It's like they're going to slow this bitch down. They're going to get the 10-year down. They're going to get the Fed to start lowering rates. They're going to get people to believe that we have a sustainable economy because we're automating and doing everything better than every major developed country in the fucking world. And they can look towards El Salvador. They can look towards Argentina to start to see the success that we're going to have. Only we have a better team than any of them. And we're already the best, most powerful country on earth. Please to God, understand this. This is what's happening. This is going as planned, and it will work.
The next 2 years. And we know that borrowers on autos, for instance, are under stress. So this is looking at subprime.
All right, we'll come back to this. Let's get to that other data. Sorry, I'm getting a little hyped today. Somebody said they wanted it, so they're getting it. All right. Here we go. Bunches of data. Here we go. You're welcome, Banshee. Same to you, Ethio. Damn, I'm late. Livongo, come on, bud. I did start early, though. I'll give you that. Tyler Casamenti, do we want good or bad data? I don't know, man. I don't think it fucking matters. We're going to create the data we want, but not artificially. We're going to force the levers in the directions we want. I do think that lower prices on the index would be good, but again, it doesn't matter. If that doesn't happen today, it doesn't fucking matter. It's coming. We've already looked at Trueflation. We can look at it again today. But Trueflation is letting us know where things are headed. All right, we got, lots of data. Let me just wait here. I don't want to have to fuck around with this too much. Fired up to a yawn. Dude, I got up at 3:30. While other people are like, I need a mental health break, I'm fucking here crushing it for you. All right, let's look here real quick. Core price index, 0.3. Slightly underneath forecast, 0.4. Within consensus, so lower by 0.1. Let's call it 0.05. Personal income, 0.9%, blows out consensus and forecast of 0.3. That's good. We want people making more money. Personal spending, negative 0.2%. That's lower than expected. We wanted 0.1 for consensus, 0.3 for forecast. So people are, but this is what Tom Lee was talking about yesterday. People are worried right now about the path forward. They want to make sure that they're not losing a job. They're hearing a bunch of different conflicting messages, so they're holding off on spending. But remember, CFOs are the most excited they've been about the economy in a very, very long time, if ever. So this is good. We will see people spend more. They just want, let's give them those stimmies after we crush the market a little bit more. Like not the stock market, but just, again, the Fed. Good trade balance, super negative 153 billion. Whatever, we don't care right now. Kind of to be expected, but let's look at it real fast. So this is the worst ever. I'm not surprised by this. This is why Trump is doing what he's doing, so that we can make money off the imbalance. And that is the right approach. If you guys could hit the like button, it would be greatly appreciated. We've got like a record number of people here for these normal live streams. So and again, if you guys on X can like hit that little thing and on here can like retweet, whatever, do the shit, I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's keep going. So the PCE price index, don't care about month over month, year over year, 2.5% in line. Good. It's not over. It's in line. We like that. Retail inventories, ex autos, month over month, 0.4%. So retail inventories, when you subtract autos, are actually a little bit higher than normal. Interesting. Wholesale inventories, we might dive into that more deeply. I'm going to skip that one for now. It looks like it's generated. Core PCE price index, year over year, 2.6, actually 0.1 underneath forecast. This is good. Core PCE looks better. And then the PCE year over year actually is 0.1% lower, but came in line with the consensus in the forecast. This is good. This is what we want to see. We do have Chicago PMI coming out at 845. That's really the other big metric. Let me refresh and see if we can get wholesale inventories in here. I'd say all in all, though, this is good. This is good data. This is good data because it doesn't scream inflation in any way. It also doesn't really scream stagflation. And if anything, it looks like we're doing pretty good. Personal income going up by 0.9% versus a previous of 0.4 and consensus of 0.3 and 0.3 forecast and consensus is awesome. That is awesome. So I'm very excited about today's data. Let's see what our boy Rick Santelli has to say. Let's see what the Santelli has to say. He's looking a little red, but he could just be excited today. You never know. It's when he turns purple that you got to worry about him. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Squawk. We're just seconds away now from the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, PCE.
And again, guys, I've got a little teaser because we got Tom Lee talking about what's going on with markets and what you should be focused on, and it perfectly aligns with what I was talking about. And if you missed that, you got to go back and watch it. But this is kind of a spoiler. I'm not normally supposed to do this, but I think Tom likes me, so we're going to do it anyway, just this one time. Here we go.
Data. Take a look at futures. Dow's up close to 200 points right now. NASDAQ off about 13, 14 points.
Yes, I am. I'm going to add Bitcoin-related stuff today.
10 points. Our good friend Rick Santelli.
I might butcher some of my Tesla to do it.
Chicago, and he has
Thank you, Peter.
Number of the day and week, sir.
Yes, these are definitely the numbers.
Sorry, real quickly. Ethan, did you say you sold Tesla to move into a leverage earlier? No, I have not. I still have all the shares that I bought when I moved out of options. I think it's like roughly $500 to $600,000 worth, but I will be probably selling some today to go into things that I believe can give me 10 to 30x this year, and I don't think my Tesla can give me 10 to 30x. So I'm probably going to butcher it over the short term to hopefully have 10 to 15 million of it by the end of the year.
Of the day and week, and they're populating slowly. Let's go in reverse order. Oh, they're on the wires now. Personal income, more than double expectations. A powerfully strong, up 0.9%, almost up 1 full percent.
He likes the income, guys.
Highest read going back to January of last year. So a 1-year high on the income side. On the spending side, a completely different story. We're expecting a number up a couple of tens.
But remember, we love that. We love that spending is holding off right now. With people making more money and spending less, and again, the potential for stimulus checks in the future and for a low tax environment that benefits them a lot, you'll see a resurgence in spending. We're just lining up the levers where we need them before we let them rip.
Well, it's down a couple of tenths.
Beautiful.
Down 2 tenths.
Beautiful.
That's the weakest spending number going back to, and I'm going to have to go back to February of 21. February of 21, we had the minus 1/10. That was March of 23. So these numbers have been mostly small to the upside. This is a big drop. Now, if we look at real spending adjusted for inflation, it gets worse. Down 0.5%. That'd be the weakest level also since Feb of 21. Now the meat on the bone here. PCE index, the headline number month over month, up 0.3 as expected. And do keep in mind, even though it was as expected, to find a higher number, you're going all the way back to January of 24, which was up 0.4. Now, if we look at the PCE year over year, it's up 2.5. It's up 2.5 as expected. 1/10 cooler in the rear view mirror. 2.5 would be the smallest number since it was 2.4 in November. Do remember last month's 2.6, which still stands unrevised, was the highest since April of 24. Now let's go back to month over month and switch categories to the core numbers. Core PCE month over month up 0.3 as expected, 1/10 hotter than the rearview mirror. To find a hotter number, you're going back to, depending on how you round, 0.34 in March of last year, or 0.5, which was January of last year. And finally, maybe the most important number of all,
taken off?
2.6 on the year-over-year
Oh, just
core
barely, though.
PCE. That's as expected, and the rearview mirror was updated from 2.8 to 2.9, which would make last month's 2.9 the highest since March of 24. It reverses to 2.6.
Cool.
2.6, well, to find a smaller number, you're going all
right, I'm good here. Yeah, MicroStrategy 0.35. I sold some, what was it, Mara stock, not my options. I just bought a shit ton of options that can just give me insane gains. I showed you guys yesterday. I can make 3 million to 11 million off of Mara. Stupid easy. But I sold some Mara stock because I wanted to buy some MSTU in my Robinhood account. And so I dumped that shit, and then it doesn't show my available money. So I got $120,000 that isn't available yet in order to be able to buy MSTU. So I'm probably missing the flip on that and losing a few percent. Kind of pisses me off. Thank you, Robinhood. But whatever. It is what it is. We got a lot to talk about, guys. So first off, investment basics, right? Let's do this one. So increasingly significant consideration. Ladies, it's time to start thinking about whether the guy you're dating has post-apocalyptic warlord potential. I like to think I'm in that list. I like to think I'm there. I've got guns. I've got a Cybertruck. I don't know. I feel like I'm there, but that's some good investment advice for you. Other stuff would be like, I don't know, when the fear and greed is an extreme fear, fucking buy. When the crypto index is an extreme fear and at numbers that are the lowest that we've seen since July of 2022, maybe you fucking buy. I don't know. Call me crazy. When you see that Truflation shows that we have no inflation, this is aggregated. Don't really care about that, but I do like to see that the aggregated is coming down. That's a nice change of pace on. This is over the last year. So the aggregate is starting to roll over. We like that. Not a great example of what I was trying to talk about, though. All right, real quickly, we're going to jump over to Trump. Are you averaging down on CleanSpark options? I have been, actually. Let me see. Where the fuck is Ally? I don't even know. I might have to pull that up. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But yes, I have been. I was averaging it into 2020 or $25 strikes, but I was doing Julys. I might actually roll over into like a September or something and maybe a different strike point. I'll let you guys know when I do my trades, just like I always do. If you subscribe to me on X, or you subscribe to me on Discord, or you just show up for the fucking open market opens, you see this shit, right? At least most of it. And again, if you're all in on all three of these platforms, it costs you a whole $10 a month. It's crazy expensive, I know. But how many other times do you get to see stuff like this? I mean, not that often, because I shouldn't. Anyway, Bitcoin is up to almost 81,300 after dropping to 78. And as I showed you guys earlier, that perfectly dropped right where I wanted it to for our first location. First really strong location. But let's get back to Tom Lee. Let's listen to what he has to say about autos and a lot more. This is a really good conversation. Pay fucking attention. Ignore chat. Pay attention.
Auto loans are hitting multiple year highs. Now, tariffs look like they are going to slow economic growth and lower interest rates.
You're good,
they're not
Camawar.
inflationary. That's a message that Steve Cohen from Point 72 messaged last week, and I think a lot of economists agree. And I have some examples to show you. The fourth is that DOGE cutting government spending lowers interest rates because it does result in reduced jobs and reduced spending. In fact, we're starting to see that in some of the economic data. So today, GDP core price index was hotter than expected. That's just for fourth quarter, so it's a revision, but that got investors nervous about a growth scare because.
But again, we just got one that was less hot than expected, so that's good.
You know, you don't want really more inflation.
Again, the one from today, guys, 0.1% lower, and we do want jobless claims to go up. We actually want that to happen.
But it was really jobless claims that are starting to show some phrase where jobless claims rose 20,000. But here's a snapshot into Washington, D.C., which is where some of the initial cuts have been taking place. And as you can see, the number of claims in D.C. has quadrupled.
Just look at that. Just look at Washington, D.C., 2023, 2024, now. Ouch. If you guys ever wanted real estate in Washington, D.C., I think Trump's going to take it over and have it be controlled by the government. instead of local jurisdiction. So it'll probably be a really safe place. Great time to buy real estate there. I'm not going to buy some. I'm just looking at it, but it's fucking awesome. The prices are dropping like crazy. All right, here we go.
Recently compared to its 2024 average.
20 is not a bad number.
So I think it
That's
really
really
does tie back to what Steve Cohen has said, that DOGE is essentially an austerity.
It is? It's negative for the economy and the market? Is that what's happened?
Measure. And so there's a growth scare developing. And the Kansas City Regional Fed survey came out, and there were some comments made by the Regional Fed president. But I just want to highlight a few things. First, the regional sort of commentary shows that firms decreased employment levels this month. So the job market is weakening there. And then a special question that was asked about trade policy and then the ability to pass through those prices. So foremost, the first question was, how do you believe recent trade policy will affect demand or revenues for your business over the next year? And 33% said it would be lower and 24% would be higher. So
more pessimism right now about businesses because of tariff-related concerns.
on balance, there was a 9% saying you'd have less demand.
Cool.
And then the second question is, if your firm is facing higher costs, what share of those can you pass through to customers? Well, a full 45% basically said they couldn't even pass even half of those increases on. And another 7% would say they had to cut prices. So 52% cannot pass on higher prices.
Ooh, scary.
So that ties back to what Steve Cohen says, which is that, the tariffs probably not only might be slowing growth, but could be disinflationary.
Oh, wait. Where have we heard that before? Chat, can you guys tell me? Can you guys tell me if there's anybody else that have said that tariffs aren't going to be inflationary and that they're actually disinflationary? And even Tom Lee's view here is only in the United States. But the people that really get hurt are the countries and companies that have the tariffs applied on them. It's not here. So the max pain is on their end. So they have a purpose. Thank you, Dario. It was me. So they have a purpose to actually lower these reciprocal tariffs. They have to do it. Jeremy did. Jeremy's like, okay. They have to lower these tariffs. There's no choice. There's absolutely no choice. And so this is one of the best things ever. We're looking at a disinflationary environment. I heard that before, that micro to macro guy is so smart. I agree with Danny. Danny seems very smart. So is Luke. But joking, Jeremy had a stupid tweet. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so I like Jeremy, but yeah, that does make sense. Anyway, but so this is good. This is good. This is what we want. We just listened to Scott Bessent tell us that what they want to do is slow things down. And we have a plan to stimulate. It's pretty easy. And if nothing else, the plan to slow things down is also the plan to stimulate, because by putting out reciprocal tariffs and by applying pressure on the rest of these, you're going to make the Fed lower rates. You're making the bond market start to roll over and go lower. And you'll get it to where both individuals have sustainable debts. And then again, all the stuff that we looked at earlier, guys, it ain't rocket science. That's the stuff Elon does. We're doing the easy shit here. But if we just look at my comments from earlier and here, talking about how GDP growth had the worst levels ever, and now it's actually looking to pop up, and that we're at an age of abundance like mankind's never seen. It's going to start in the USA, and it's happening this year. Again, no taxes on overtime, Social Security, and tips. Incredibly stimulative. Okay, these will really kick in probably and get all the way through the Senate, all the way through the reconciliation process, and all the way through to where they're actually real in probably late April or May. Increased corporate tax breaks along with continuing the existing ones. 100% accelerated depreciation for new factory construction in the USA. Incentives for business to be done in the USA to avoid tariffs. Gold is coming into the fucking USA right now. Push to lower energy costs, a base cost that exists across the entire supply chain of products purchased. deregulation across everything so that we can help companies increase their margins, allow for more innovation, less hoops to jump through, which increases the odds of success, and giving them more options. The gold card program to get it to where we can pay off a large amount of our debts. If it isn't 200,000 people out of the 250,000 that are currently waiting, even if it's 100,000 out of the 36 millionaires that, or 37 millionaires that exist outside of the United States on this earth, if we get a fucking 100,000 of them, we paid off $500 billion of our debts. And then all the deflationary stuff I talked about with the tariffs, with the re-immigration, where we're pushing people out of here, lowering housing costs, lowering rental costs, lowering auto costs, because we have extra inventory and now less people physically in this country. All of these things are working towards our benefit. DOGE is working towards our benefit because over the short term, again, it creates this deflation. But the DOGE dividend that we're going to do for $420.69 a month, I'm still trying to push that. I really want Elon to do it. That is going to stimulate the economy and be good for us. There's so many good things happening right now. And again, the AI, the robotics, the autonomy. I showed you guys the post where we were talking about David Sachs showing that companies are getting to revenue generation at about 65% of the time that it took in 2018. Because they're able to do it quicker with AI and they're able to do it with less bodies. This is an amazing time. This is an amazing time.
Opposite of what most people are saying, because most people think that this would cause inflation. But as you can see, that
Those
survey
people are
question
stupid.
suggests the opposite. So, of course, that's adding to the growth scares that are out there. So we could say
We already did. We looked at it. It's beautiful.
this is another data point. Now, here's the thing. If you have weak jobs, that's going to force the Fed off their hawkish pause. And I think that's maybe one of the...
All right, real quickly. Tyler says, when you say a month, how long would that last? Well, they want to give $5,000 to everybody. So I thought it would be a cooler idea to give $420.69 because it equates to roughly $500 or $5,000 in a year. So that's what I would like to see them do. And that's what I think is going to happen. And I don't know when it starts. Maybe it takes until June. Maybe it takes until July to really prove that we're able to do what we need to do. I'm going to be converting more to MSTX and actually some to MSTU, but Robinhood wouldn't let me fucking do it today. I'm probably going to convert $200,000 to MSTX and MSTU today. And I'm also going to probably sell at least $100,000 in Tesla stock. Not my TLT. I'm going to hold that for now. But I'm going to sell some Tesla stock, and I'm probably going to lever into some other options. I will let you guys know. I will let you know my trades when I do them. But I'm going balls deep today, and then I've still got more balls to go deeper if I need to.
positives that would come out of a White House focused on lower yields and the methods they're using to get tariffs and DOGE. And it looks like the Fed really hasn't gotten that message yet. This is from Jeff Schmidt.
Oh, they'll get it. This is Nick Timmeros, Nicky Leaks. He's a good dude.
The Kansas Regional Fed president, but he says he's not willing to take any chances because he wants to maintain the Fed's credibility on
Whatever. Bullshit.
inflation. I think that story probably changes if the job market weakens.
Oh, yeah.
And as you can see, the bond market is already starting to pull forward May Fed cuts. The odds of a May cut are still rising. They're at 27% compared to 10% just 2 weeks ago. And if the weakness continues, this number is going to get towards 100%. And if you look at the number of Fed cuts for the full year, it was only one cut in early February. It's all the way back to 2.5 cuts. And just in the last couple of days, it's gone from 2.2 cuts to 2.5. So I think this growth scare is really going to put the Fed back in play. And in fact, I think that there's still this improbable view that there's a 22% chance priced into the bond market that the Fed will actually hike rates this year. So this is a message basically saying that the White House wants to avoid stall speed at all costs, because then you have to inject fiscal stimulus, which reverses everything that the DOGE and the tariffs are doing. And you want to
yeah, they don't want stall speed. So they're making it to where they're going to slow things down, force Jerome Powell's hand, then push this bitch up. And if you guys aren't paying attention, look at how Bitcoin magically is popping up against the 200 moving average on the daily and looking to go above it.
also not risk a recession, because a recession, has depths that we just don't know. In the meantime, stocks have really taken a beating. But as Mark Newton notes today, he thinks we're close to bottoming. And so as much as it feels like we could continue to free fall, I do agree with him that I think that we're really near the end stages of this decline. For instance, the AAII bullish survey, the retail sentiment survey, which I've mentioned before, basically collapsed. Now the net bulls less bears.
This collapsed to like record levels over the last decade plus.
Has fallen to minus 42%.
Lowest since September of 2022, deep in the bear. Again, everything I'm showing you says we're done or we're almost done. Who cares about the last 5% of a drop? If that's the potential, but you have massive upside, who gives a shit?
That's
I can't believe people are falling off of this. You guys don't want to listen to Tom Lee? How retarded are you?
This reading here, but that's the lowest reading since September 2022. So is that the bottom? I mean, the market fell for a little longer, but wow, look at the risk reward over the next 12 months.
Beautiful.
And here are the 10 lowest readings of AAII.
Important numbers.
Since 1987. They're all clustered basically in 1990.
Here's the 10 since 1987. Since 1987.
09 and 2022. But look at the forward return. You're talking an average gain of 22% with 90% positive return. So I think the risk return.
So again, January data, January results indicated that we should have a good year. And now we're seeing that this AAII results for the net bulls and bears is showing that we should have a great year. And then we're at
really
lowest levels of fear and greed for years, going back to the end of the bear market. And I call it a bear market because the end of 2022, I mean, if Tesla's down 75%, Meta's down 75%, Palantir's down like 80%, that was a bear market. It was for technology.
Extremely positive. I know it's not fun to hear when a day the market's down.
He's the man.
And momentum similarly is now logging
Mark
down
Newton's
6 out of the 7 last days. Although, as you can see on this chart, the momentum ETF didn't actually make a new low. So the lows of the 25th have actually been holding. And here's what's interesting. If you look at the since the inception of this index,
he'll probably
and
buy.
You asked, give me the worst 5 consecutive daily declines like we've seen.
And so this is the worst since 2013, 12 years ago, and we're ranked number 7 for this.
And this decline ranks number 7. And out of those other 6 worst declines, take a look at the forward returns. Now, 2 of them occurred in 2022, but the other ones occurred during growth scares, 2015, 2016, 2020, and 2014.
Double-digit returns in the S&P, guys.
The average gain is 22%. So I think of this remains still a favorable risk-reward environment, as painful as it is. And tomorrow we get another data point. That's just January core PCE. The street's looking for 0.28. As painful as it is.
So Tom Lee's telling you we're going to be in the 7,000s by the end of the year. I've had that projection since the end of 2022. Let's look at that, right? I might even have the post from it that I can show you. But here's what Tom Lee's telling you. If we average the 22%, here's the S&P going back since the beginning of time. Well, not the beginning of time, but you get the point. Let me go to monthly. It's probably a little better. So here's what you need to realize. If you look at this, if you look at all the touch points, so like here, this one, we actually dumped underneath, but you can see where we tried to stop, and then we dumped a little bit further, and then we wicked up. But so you can see support, and then if you look at the weeklies, that's what I'm drawing it off of. There's actually a lot more lines of support. And so this is essentially a channel because, again, resistance, resistance, resistance. And what I have for us at the end of this year is roughly 7,600. Tom Lee just got done telling you that we'll be in the 7,000s. So I still see this happening. And again, there's beauty in this and its consistency, right? There's beauty in the consistency that we follow. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's coming. I hope you guys are too. We're not quite done yet. We do have more to talk about. If you guys want to hear it, let's go. So I do love this. The same guy that was shitting on Trump because of Ukraine last week are like, wait, now Trump's saying that he'll liberate Mariupol for Ukraine. That's a rapid turnaround. So again, he's doing something. I don't know if people have just never been in is it that many people have never been high enough in a business to understand a negotiation process or something? I don't understand it. But Jesse has balls on balls on balls to go deeper and deeper on his investments, of course. Thanks, Steak and Eggs. I like the way you said that. So he's telling everybody what they wants to hear. He's being really smart. Under the Biden administration, they got everybody in a room and then they just fought with each other. What is Trump doing? He's saying, I'm going to go talk to Russia. Why am I going to Russia first? Great question. I'm glad you asked. I'm going to Russia first because they're the fucking enemy. Ukraine is the one that we've been supporting. Do people not remember this shit? Did the Ukrainians forget that we paid the majority of the fucking bills? I mean, don't get me wrong. We paid like 45% of the fucking bills, right? But compare that to what other countries around them were contributing. Compare that to the fact that they would have been overthrown right away if we wouldn't have provided immediate support and backing, and also given them Starlink satellites because all their systems were taken out. How soon we forget, how soon our gratitude fades. Anyway, I'm not bitter. Let's keep going. So you talk to the bad guys first. You talk to Russia first, and you figure that shit out. And then you talk them up because Putin is a fucking dictator. And you know what you do with dictators? You fluff their egos. That doesn't look like an ego, but you fluff their egos and you talk better about them than you do your allies. That's how you get a deal. And now Putin is singing like a bird about how excited he is for this war to come to an end and how they were trying to accomplish that the whole time. But now, because of Donald Trump, they're going to have the opportunity to do it. He desperately needs this war to end. And then once you figure that shit out with him, you know what you do? You sign a deal with Ukraine today to get mineral rights and everything else you want so that you get paid back because Biden wasn't going to get shit paid back. And then once you get that deal signed, you go back over, and again, he's been talking to Europe all week. He talked to Macron. He talked to Keir Starmer, and then he laughed at Keir Starmer and made a joke about how, would you be able to handle Russia without us? Wink, wink. In front of the world. I'm sure Keir Starmer loved that. And then once you solidify all that, you go back to Russia and you say, hey, let's work this out. We probably can't give you this. We need you to give this back to Ukraine, and then we can give you back that part of Russia they took. And let's make this fucking shit in. Let's make a bunch of money, and let's get on the same side again, all of us, because we got bigger problems to worry about. In case you didn't notice, Russia, China did you no favors. They stuck up for you very little. And now you're tariffing their vehicles by 50% and their wood and their furniture products and a bunch of other stuff. So maybe things didn't work out. Maybe we can be a better partner to you than China was. And I think that's what's happening. I think that's what's going to happen. And I've said that for a while. And it's coming true. Just like all the other stuff. Thanks, JT. I appreciate that. Fox and Trox. I love that name. People somehow pissed they're getting something back from this because Orange Man bad. Yeah, right? Orange Man bad. Orange Man bad. So scary, Orange Man. Breaking. President Trump and security. Oh, hey, here's what. Winning. This is what we do. President Trump and Secretary Rubio have secured the extradition of 29 top cartel leaders from Mexico to the U.S. for prosecution. Some of these people killed our DEA agents, had them murdered. I thought Mexico wasn't going to work with us. I thought they were like, oh, we're mad at you for renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. But, oh, they are working with us because they have to. Winning. Elon Musk says this is exactly the goal. So right now, George Soros is trying to stack the Supreme Court in Wisconsin so that they can basically gerrymander it in order to be able to ensure that that state is permanent blue. We can't let that fucking happen. If you're in Wisconsin, if you know people in Wisconsin, make sure they don't let it happen. Jack Straw, it's happening. AG Bondi. So we were supposed to get The Epstein files, I'm not going to go deep into this. Essentially, she said she's fighting with the FBI that is evidently hiding a bunch of stuff. Videos, all kinds of content that was pulled from Epstein's house that probably has all the goods, and saying we need that shit. So I don't even think they should have done the release until they got it. They should have told the people that they're fighting with the FBI. They gave them until 8 o'clock today. I say if they don't bring it in at 8 o'clock today, you go in there with special forces and you take that shit from the New York FBI. You go in there and you fucking take it. And then if anybody's done anything to eliminate records, death penalty, treason, death penalty. Rod D. Martin, I'm in a fun mood today, guys. This is great. We got 29 minutes until the bell. Breaking, Chief Justice Roberts shut down Democrat federal judge by trying to force the Trump administration to release billions in foreign aid shutdown in U.S. aid. You might have heard this yesterday. This is a big deal, though. You know why? Yeah, DLO's fucked. You know why? Because this guy hates Trump. He's a Republican, but he hates him. And what's interesting about this, and you can read the whole article. I don't really care. Is this part down here. Federal judge. Nope, not that part. This part. But here's where it gets wild. The Trump team went to appeals court first, like they're supposed to. What happened? Crickets. The D.C. Circuit just sat on it. They didn't want to help him, right? They're against him. So Trump goes straight to the SCOTUS, Supreme Court, and Robert blocks the order single-handedly. No debate. Boom. So this guy who doesn't even like Trump is like, nope, we're not dealing with the bullshit. It's fucking over. This is historic. This is historic. Also, if you look at Bitcoin, it's magically getting right near the 200 moving average. Isn't that funny? Are we not enjoying today's Jesse? I fucking am. Thank you. Thank you, Victor. All right. EYAL says, breaking, the U.S. Department of Education has launched ndei.gov. More winning. A portal for parents to report discrimination in classrooms. So if any of these assholes are flying their flags or trying to push transgenderism and tell your kid, your boy, that they're a girl and their girl that they're a boy, or that they should chop off their tits or cut off their cock when they're 8 years old, they're going to go to jail. So that's good. Open source intel. Houthis just put on notice. Trump rolls back airstrike and raid restrictions. So Trump has loosened constraints on U.S. commanders, allowing more autonomy and authorizing airstrikes and special operation raids. This reverses the Biden era policies and marks a return to Trump's aggressive counterterrorism effort. So if you're Iran right now, or you're the Houthis that are backed by Iran, be scared. Because we ain't fucking around. And Zelensky landed in Washington. We'll be hearing all about that today, guys. It's going to be fun. Sean said, you see the dude that tried to blow up a Tesla facility? Yeah, the woman that has a penis and is a part of Antifa. Something my friend who gave me this shirt, who hates me now because of politics, told me that organization didn't exist. And yet they do. Isn't that crazy? Let's keep going. OPM completes their first digital retirement in just 2 days. Again, guys, this is what I was talking about. We had that whole, like, there's a big facility in a mountain that has all the documentation for all the federal workers that they have to process for their retirement. And literally they ride around in like little three-wheel bicycles with the stuff on the back, like it's fucking Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And they have an elevator where if it breaks down, nobody can fucking retire. And all that's fixed. All that's fixed. The Airbnb CEO hopped on DOGE, and that's fixed. Let's listen.
We've never done before. Process a retiree end to end.
That was a week ago, and it's fixed.
And digitally without printing anything to paper. The deadline? In a week. The retirement services team approached this with boldness, competence, and caring. This is their story.
There's so many parts of retirement process where even one sheet of paper.
I thought Trump was a racist, so I'm surprised to see a black woman in authority within the organization. I'm kidding.
With one missing signature could slow down the process.
Even if we start in a digital path, we have to combine that with many of the paper documents that already exist.
These 26,000 filing cabinets store 400 million documents. Welcome to the mine in Boyers, Pennsylvania.
So this is what a case jacket looks like. It's a file folder that contains all the paper.
This is our federal government, and we're going to automate all of it, and people are bearish about that. What the fuck?
Documents.
The first time I went to the mine, the picture I had in my mind was something from the X-Files. Some retirees have a lot of paper, a lot more than others, and that there were a couple we encountered that actually had pallets.
One retiree?
Here was a challenge.
What?
How can we get fully digital retirement through within 5 days without printing one piece of paper?
We were asked, how long would it take to do this completely digitally? We gasped and said, 7 months, maybe 12 months. But then we were asked, well, what if you had the full support of your team and the full support of leadership? How fast could you do it?
We got it done in record times within 2 days without printing one piece of paper.
We proved that it's possible, and now we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna get this done for everybody else too.
This is fucking awesome. And they ignored the fact that that was with the help of the Airbnb CEO and DOGE, but whatever, that's cool. John says, the market can't see the future, Jesse. Well, that's where we make money, right? Because we can. We do our due diligence. When other people run away, when other people need nap time or need a break, we jump in and we get shit done. And we dig down and we figure out how we can capitalize off of whatever changes have occurred. And we work to predict the future because that's how you get rich. If you think you're going to be a day trader and you're going to beat a bunch of fucking quants, good luck. By the way, we are now officially above the 200 daily moving average on Bitcoin. Solana up 5% on the day. Everything's turning around. Today is the day we bounce. I strongly believe that. But real Donald Trump will keep winning. And a federal judge has been denied a motion. This is a separate one than the one we talked about earlier by CIA and national intelligence employees to keep their jobs after they were put on the firing list for work on DEI practices. Bye, bitches. And this is what I was saying before. I know people don't like Putin. I'm not fond of him either. He murders people. Just ask Novani. Oh, wait, you can't. He's fucking dead. That was his political opposition for people who don't know Russia well. And people mock me because they don't think I know the rest of the world. I just laugh at that shit. I laugh at it. But this is Putin talking for, I guess, 21 minutes about how he wants peace. He wants to give a bunch of aluminum to the United States. He wants to give rare earth minerals because they probably have one of the largest supplies on Earth. And at the same time, he wants to do trade and wants businesses from the United States coming into his country again so he can move on. Sarcasm? I'm never sarcastic. But yeah, so this is good, right? You might hate this guy, but he's between a rock and a hard place. And I've been saying that for months, quarters, and that the war will end. Now, guys, Canada. Now, remember this. Liberals in the United States and Canada are very positive and joyful people. So we just want to listen to this. This is an MP in Canada talking about how he's going to make the world a better place. Let's just listen real quick.
National war criminal will get all the peace you want.
Are we not going to have peace until then?
But you support war criminals? Go ahead.
I want the war to stop.
Criminals. Yeah, go on. Fuck off, Putin troll.
Putin troll. Nothing to do with Putin.
Yes, you do. If you don't stand with Ukraine, then you're a fascist.
Okay.
So don't waste my time talking.
Do you think it's fascistic to threaten to take away Canadian citizenship because you don't agree with their political leaning?
Yeah, no, you got.
Do you think that's appropriate?
He's the guy who wanted to get rid of Elon Musk's citizenship in the country. He's got 3 citizenships around the world. He's got one in South Africa, one in Canada, because he left South Africa because they were murdering all the white people, or at least working towards that, and murdering the Afrikaners. And then he went to Canada, and then he finally got his way into America, and he's been here 22 years. They're trying to revoke his citizenship. And this is how they respond to tough questions.
Yeah. The convoy troll.
What about political violence, sir? You're a well-known supporter of Antifa. I have been the victim of this.
Yeah, you know Antifa?
Yes.
My uncles fought fascists all over Europe. They'd fight your fascists.
So you support the violent Antifa mobs in Ottawa? I have been the victim of violence from them. I was jumped.
You're a moron.
Because I'm a moron. So you're saying I deserve the violence from Antifa?
I think you're a
I was
Putin
jumped,
troll.
robbed, and beaten.
Ooh, you're a Putin troll.
I was jumped, robbed, and beaten
Fuck
in a
off,
park.
Putin troll. Fuck off,
Do you think
Putin
that's
troll.
appropriate?
Isn't it just astonishing the level of their ability to argue and discuss their thoughts and why they hold the stances that they believe? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Victor, have you, Jesse Bros, noticed that when bear sentiment hit us hard, Jesse cheers us up? That's my goal. That's literally why I'm here. Last time we were this bear, we had another hell of a stream. Yeah, dude, I'm here. I'm trying to provide you guys with, what I believe is the reality, so that you don't give up. That's why I'm here. It would be very easy for me to just sleep in. Instead, I got 4 hours so I could try and help you guys. All right, JD Vance rips the UK for censorship. This is great. So they ask JD Vance about this. All right, you got to listen to this.
Yes, ma'am. In his remarks at the Munich Security Conference, Vice President Vance condemned free speech violations in the UK. Particularly, could you respond? What is your message?
I have an idea. We have the man right here. Come on. Let's go, JD. We're putting you on stage.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
So he literally doesn't backpedal from it. Trump puts him right out in the firing line. It's beautiful. The Trump effect, persistence, Scott Pressler. There has been a 94% decrease in illegal alien border crossings. Last Saturday, there were only 201 illegal aliens encountered on the border along the entire southern border. That's the Trump effect. I'm going to skip this one. Huge. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announces a website for illegals to go and register. So what they're doing now is they're saying, go and register with the federal government and we will help you go home and we will give you the opportunity to be eligible to come back to America legally. If they register and leave now, they might have the opportunity to return and live in America, live the American dream. If they don't, they will face consequences. And some of the previous consequences were you wouldn't be able to be in America for at least 25 years or some shit is what they talked about. So that's kind of a big deal. I think a lot of people are probably going to go along with it. Yeah, I love that. I just saw that real quick. I'm going to go back over here. Sometimes the comments are the best thing. An immigrant back in the day, an immigrant right now. Right? There's the difference between the people that want to come here for a better life and then in some cases that just want to rape and pillage because they know they can. And again, there's UK Prime Minister, dipshit, Keir Starmer. I think that's it for that. Probably have more, but whatever. I'm going to real quickly, I think I'm going to get some more coffee, guys. We do have more data. We got the bell in 16, and then we have in a little over 30, we have the next data point, which is going to be the Chicago data. So real quickly here, I'm going to let you guys listen to these guys. I might even back up the truck a little bit here because they're talking a little bit about core PCE. So there might be something interesting there. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some coffee. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. You guys know it takes about 2 minutes, and I will be right back. Here we go. I'm just going to get back a little bit. There we go.
Tariffs. Are
Be right
we
back.
going to deal with a backdrop of stagflation, which is just ugly, right? Market doesn't like it. Stock companies don't like it. Bad for the economy. Let's talk about all of that, especially with today's numbers in focus. PCE out. Another mild number, I would say. Diane Swank, KPMG chief economist, joins us now. Were you relieved to see that inflation number this morning, Diane?
Well, this is exactly what the inflation number was expected to be. We had already the inputs from PPI and the consumer price index, and this is exactly what the Fed expected to see as well. And that's most important, is that we're getting to a point in time where the year-over-year comps get much easier, and the momentum in inflation is going to show some signs of cooling. The question is, can it stay there? And that's what the Fed has also been warning about. We've even seen some Fed presidents hint at being cautious about the lessons of the 1970s, which of course were stagflation. Many of the effects, this is before any of the effects of recent policy changes come into play, and even tariffs take a while to actually be implemented. There's a gap between even the emergency use of tariffs that the president has used and when they actually show up out there, and I think that's important as well. The weakness in consumer spending, we saw that in retail sales, and it was really more due to the fact that we had 2 massive winter storms in the south, places you don't usually have it, which limited mobility. Store traffic fell along with traffic on dealer lots, and we're going to see that pick up a little bit in February. So it's all way too soon to look at the economic effects of the president's proposals, and the Fed knows that, and that's why they've been so cautious on this. We're comfortable where we are for now.
So are you not reading too much into the weaker economic data and worried about demand actually falling off at the same time? And I know we don't know the effect of the president's policies, but we are getting tariffs from every angle here.
Did they say anything interesting? Did you hear anything interesting? All right, let's move on. If there's anything interesting happening, you guys let me know. I am going to hop over here and watch some of this on the live stream. All right, so we did U.S. economy. Again, if you didn't catch that, you need to. Let's jump around here a little bit. We'll go AI chips. I did want to talk to a couple of things real quick on this front. So Grok is improving faster. So somebody's like, hey, so the Grok 3 benchmark is pretty useful in comparing the base models. So I added ChatGPT 4. So as you can see with the math and the science, it did worse. And Grok 3 is doing better. So Grok 3 Mini was the very initial release, which you could see where ChatGPT 4.5 was a little bit better than that. But even now, Grok 3 is better, and it's only going to accelerate. Palantir's completely closed the gap. We'll look at that too, yeah. That's the first gap. Could it go lower? I don't know. It did drop to under 80 earlier today, which is pretty good. I think this is it for AI and chips. There's other stuff, but I just wanted to show that Grok is kicking ass because I think it's important for people to understand that. Real quickly, I'm going to jump to geopolitics. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds, and then we'll go to DOGE. So again, this says, call me a racist, Islamophobic, or whatever else. I don't care. You'll never convince me that mass immigration is good for Ireland. Foreigners are destroying our country. These foreigners, I don't know why, but they're trying to beat this person's door down and kill them. There's somebody sitting up here trying to, I can see them up in the window. No idea what's going on here. Police rarely seem to help. Let me see if there's anything else. Nope, I went over these yesterday, so we'll make that short. Let's go to DOGE. Oh, ARC-G2. There's so much to do. Eunice Yoon's talking in China. We're going to go to Eunice. I can't pass up Eunice. I love me some Eunice. 1 second here, guys. I'm going to go back.
President this morning vowing to retaliate.
You guys know I have a huge crush on Eunice Yoon. And people tell me that I'm racist against Chinese people, so if that's true, it's really weird.
If he does impose that additional 10% tariff on that country's goods next week. Let's get more.
I love her, though. She's just like one of the most honest, genuine people, and that's not easy to be in the CCP land.
More from Eunice Yoon in Beijing. Eunice, we're getting some comments from
I'll be buying Mara calls today, yes. I'll be buying lots of stuff, dude.
Macron in France saying he didn't get much hope on tariffs when he was visiting in the last few days. What is the word from China?
Well, the word from China is that the Chinese government is threatening to take what it described as all necessary measures. So this is unlike earlier this month when China vowed corresponding countermoves to President Trump's February 4th 10% tariffs. So immediately after those tariffs had kicked in, China had come up with its own actions. So these included counter tariffs, export curbs on critical minerals, a blacklisting, as well as flagging a probe into individual U.S. companies.
Okay,
and these were seen as relatively mild, but that they sent a message of what Beijing could do. So investors
yeah, dude, Beijing can't do shit.
Here today dropped stocks. They were worried about the potential for escalation of tensions. The research house ANZ had said that with the March tariffs, the average U.S. tariff on Chinese goods could reach 33%. So it expects a hit to Chinese GDP. Now, the timing of these tariffs would also be quite interesting because they'd be coming in one day before President Xi Jinping heads into one of the biggest political gatherings of the year in this country, the National People's Congress. This is a time when the Beijing leadership unveils what the economic blueprint for the year is going to be. So there is very likely going to be many investors looking to see if there's going to be more mention of stimulus.
Is there any indication, Eunice, that there's going to be talks or a deal? For instance, that's what's happening with
To be clear, there is no, it's not a coincidence that Trump is stacking another 10% right before Xi goes into his conference where he's supposed to reassure the Chinese people and outside investors as to why China is going to be the place to invest in. Right when Trump is like, no, it ain't, because we're going to make sure it isn't. There's purpose behind this. I hope you understand that.
Mexico and with Canada. First of all, what the Trump administration wants and how much China is willing to do to get there.
Well, President Xi is in a different position than the Canadians and the Mexicans because of the nature of the relationship with the U.S. and China is much more adversarial. So President Xi isn't going to want to appear as though he's bending to American pressure. So that's one point. What also I think is interesting is that in the commentary, unlike Mexico and Canada, China didn't indicate at all as to whether or not they would address what appears to be motivating President Trump for these tariffs, and that is the fentanyl trade. So today, the Chinese said that this was just passing the buck, but it looks unlikely that he would necessarily.
China has had special trading status of a developing nation for decades, and we're not passing the buck. We're pulling it back. We're pulling it back.
Pick up the phone and call President Trump to be able to work this out. In fact,
I should do that. I'll do that this weekend for sure,
is that
Stevie.
He's probably going to, or at least the Chinese would wait it out and then hope for some larger
I'll shoot for
deal.
Saturday,
That's something
probably
that
Sunday.
They would benefit from.
Eunice, has anyone there from the government made mention of the fact that China stocks for the year to date are up
Skype is a
18%
thing?
and the S&P's red?
What?
Oh, a lot of people have been talking about the stocks and the Chinese stocks and how exciting it is. And a lot of that is driven because of the interest in tech. So it's just that every day when you look at state media, there seems to be either an announcement of a Chinese tech company coming up with some sort of chat bot.
Isn't it funny? She's literally like, yeah, there is some excitement. Last week, Eunice Yoon told us that the Chinese are not buying the dip. They're tapped the fuck out. And so the only people buying into this market are the Westerners and people that are thinking they're going to find, oh, hey, guys, Baba's going to come back and go to all-time highs because I don't pay attention to what's going on in the world and don't understand global macro and don't understand that they're almost 400% debt to GDP and that their liquidity is drying up and that their economy is collapsing and that they're on the edge of a depression if they're not already in it. But since they're communist controlled and have a propaganda department, I think everything's great because that's all I ever look at. I saw this cool city that's a 5D city that has like this building they're walking on and you think you're on the ground floor, but you're really on the 22nd. And people are just fucking retarded.
Or talking about their AI or integrating DeepSeek. Or
it's deliberate. They're pushing all of this so they can pull in Western dollars. If nothing else, it provides relief for people in their country to dump their shit and leave you holding it.
It's the pumping up from state media and patting their backs that the Chinese are doing so well in this area.
Almost deliberate.
Eunice, thanks.
Oh, hey, we let Jack Ma out of prison for after 2 years or 3 years so that he can sit next to us, not talk, not be allowed to speak. But that'll make Westerners be like, oh, Jack Ma's back. Look, he's sitting there. He's not dead. Oh, hey, we should invest. They must be pro-business.
We'll see what happens certainly over the weekend and next week. Going to be an important one. Eunice Yoon in Beijing. Take another look here at the pre-market as we continue to monitor whether or not this momentum trade can hang on, especially given the fact that the last, I think, 5 Fridays have been red. We'll dive into Dell and certainly Autodesk as well when Squawk on the Street continues.
I'm going to retweet this from my buddy, Mr. Lee. All right, so that was interesting. That was good. We love Eunice. I got to pull this up real quick, though. This is cool. So this just came out. This is U.S. aid. Look at this. Here's us giving money to the rest of the world, guys. Ba-doom! It seems to be slowing down. I love it. I love it. There's a lot of good stuff happening. All right. So anyway, we showed you the S&P. We showed you the track for that. Tom Lee confirmed that we're going to be going up and that we're on target for massive gains this year. Doge. Let's go into Doge, see if there's anything good in the Doge section. So U.S. Aid paid Time Magazine $4 million to name Zelensky the Person of the Year. I wonder why people are so fond of Vladimir Zelensky. It's almost like our media and really our government and our own taxpayer dollars paid to make people fond of Zelensky and to believe that he is the best person in the entire world. By the way, I don't think Putin closes a deal without elections being in place. Can I talk about D-Local? Not really. I don't know much about it. I know their earnings sucked. I think Couch Investor or somebody looked at it. It's probably going to dust. I had like 40,000 in it or something. It's such a small amount of my portfolio. I don't even care. I can't care. It's just not enough money. That's like 1%. So a little less than 1%, more than 1%, maybe just a hair more than 1% because it's dropped. I don't know. I'll update you guys this weekend. So not really. Sela said Chinese often remark how raggedy outer inner city buildings are. Yeah, tofu drag from 50 to 150 years ago. You can only lease property there. Nobody can own their land. Nobody can own the buildings. Because again, they go back to the government. It's just all a fucking Ponzi scheme. But yeah, we spent $4 million to tell the world that this guy was the best person in the world. And Secretary Scott Turner says Doge found $260 million savings in HUD. I love Scott Turner. He's great. Let's listen to him.
You know, we have a DOGE task force at HUD, and so we found $260 million in savings in contracts. $4 million of that was in DEI contracts.
3 minutes still open.
Culture transformation, which has nothing to do with the mission of HUD, and also an additional $1.9 billion in misplaced funds. And so, you know, part of being servant leaders like Brooke and I and our cabinet colleagues is to be good stewards of American taxpayer dollars. You know, we have a DOGE task force.
I love this guy. He totally gives me Martin Luther King Jr. vibes, just in the way that he speaks. He's very adamant and like excited, and I dig that shit so much. All right, so anyway, let's look down. We might get through one more post. Bizregard 24, $2 billion was transferred by USAID to Gaza after October 7th, and 90% of those funds went to Hamas-controlled areas, according to DOGE. So again, not only did we give massive amounts of money, I think it was $390 million to help build the tunnels that allowed them to be able to massacre over 1,000 people in Israel and start this whole war. But not only did we pay for that and a bunch more, but we also gave them money after the war just to make sure they had enough funding to be able to fight. This is the kind of stuff that needs to stop in America. We don't need to be funding both sides of a war. We need transparency, guys. We need it so bad. Same playbook. So, all right, we got about 1 minute here. I'll read this. In March of 1998, reports surfaced that federal bureaucrats were swapping job titles to dodge President Clinton's mass layoffs. This is during the National Performance Review, the NPR. Again, that was the only other time since Clinton, the only other time going way back that we had a balanced budget. I can't even remember if Reagan had one. So there's people swapping jobs. They're swapping jobs to try and avoid getting laid off. Not going to happen. You can't hide from Doge. Fuck you. All right, let's go over. Check out the bell. Check out the belly bell.
I think it's not, well, sure if they've officially changed the name to strategy.
Thank you if you're new here, guys. This is what we do.
Coming up. Facts that better change it then.
Once we get done here, we got more data at 8:45. We'll talk for a little bit longer. I'll pull up charts, maybe till about 9:10, 9:20, and then I'm probably going to bail
Bitcoin,
since I started at 6:45.
The value of their Bitcoin is at a multiple of its worth in terms of the overall.
If we drop more, I'm buying more.
You can look at Coinbase year to date versus the S&P, sharp drop off. I mean, there still is the hope that some of this policy the administration is exploring is going to get codified into some kind of law.
But I think there's a parallel between Bitcoin and the overall market, which the NASDAQ is now down 5.5% since the Trump inauguration. It's still up a little bit since the actual election. The
Are we belling
down
it?
6% since the inauguration. S&P is down 2.25%, and Bitcoin is down. There's the Trump.
I'm probably going to let this play for a while.
And so a lot of those trades.
I got orders I want to close.
Let's get the opening bell here in the CNBC Real-Time Exchange with the big board. It's U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the NASDAQ. Rocket Pharmaceuticals focused on genetic therapies for rare disorders. As we got Brett fairly positive here at the open. There was a lot of discussion, Sarah, yesterday about 5886. sort of this near-term momentum number on the S&P where some desks had argued a couple of days ago that you would begin to see a lot of CTA supply.
Bullshit. So Robinhood earlier, I made this sale of $120,000 in Mara out of the stock because I wanted to buy options, and now I'm trying to go in here to do some buy-in, and it still doesn't show me having cash to be able to make this purchase, even though it shows that I closed out a trade for $120,000. So I'm just sitting here without the ability to be able to buy right now. So a little disappointed on Robinhood today as I wait to figure out when I'm going to get this $120,000 that I'm owed. Pretty shocking, honestly. Yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens there. I'll do my other trades, but I'm going to play this out for a little bit. I just wanted to bitch about that.
Zero-day options. I mean, they work also when it's going up, so it's not completely clear that it's the reason somehow that the stock continues to decline. But they are a feature to a certain extent of trading in that particular name, as he's pointed out. Of course, that gets to a whole different dynamic in terms of the day trading that's going on now, and the way people approach some of these names in terms of whether it's going to end higher or lower in a given session. But again, it's sort of, you could also make the opposite argument. When it's headed up, it's all because these options are being exercised.
Oh, I guess Ally is down too.
Yeah.
I wonder if a bunch of
we're going to work our way through
guys are
some of
down.
the guidance from last night. David, would you say mixed?
Okay.
It does appear to be. The reaction certainly mixed. Any number of the analysts who follow it, strong.
So maybe Robinhood and Ally are having this. Can you guys?
One of the
Are you guys
here,
from?
I think it's Missouri.
Are you guys' exchanges working right now, or is anybody else down like I am? Let me know. Because my Robinhood isn't showing my balance correctly, and then it looks like I'm having issues with Ally too. IBKR is cool. That's one of the ones I don't have. We've hit a snag when trying to update your account information. A fix is in the works. Oh, great, guys. It's not like I wanted to fucking trade this morning. Thank you. Coinbase isn't processing payments. Charles Schwab is up. Weird. All right, anyway, let me get out of miners here. I'm going to get into the broader list and just see how things are going. We'll walk through that real quick. Moo is working. Oh, great. The Chinese one is working. Awesome. Nothing can go wrong there. DLO down 30%. I think I'm going to write that one off as a loss. SMCI down another 8.64. Ouch. Doge down 7. ETH down. Palantir down almost 7% in the 79 range. NEO down. BABA down. Oh, I love that. Makes me happy. MSTX down. This is, you know what? Maybe this is going to work out. Maybe things will be like peak down and then I can do my switch. That'd be all right. Plummet, motherfucker. Drop like a fucking rock. Do it. Do it. I hope we roll over hard. That would be the best day today. Yeah, probably getting some ARC-G too. Even though I have so much. But I think I'm going to switch out to a different contract. Miners holding? I mean, barely. They're both down. Mara's down 1%. CleanSpark's down 1.7. Bitfarms is trash. I don't even like looking at that one. Iron I actually still like. Down 2.67. Yeah, the market's getting hit. I love it. Tesla's actually in a good buy zone, guys. It just hit the fib. Here, I'll show you guys some of this stuff while I'm waiting for things to come up anyway. So we just hit the golden retracement zone on Tesla. This is the bounce zone. Could it go down further? Yeah, maybe there's a little less than 10% drop value still here. We could actually test all the way down here to like the 240 range. I don't think much lower than that. But so we could get lower. Again, massive volume right here. Look at this shelf right here at like the 258 range. So this is peak time to buy Tesla. I'll probably end up selling some so I could buy other stuff. But this isn't a bad time to buy it. If you're not looking for the higher multiple stuff that I'm looking for, I'm looking at ARC-G, I'm looking at Mara calls, I'm going to look at CleanSpark calls, but September, I'm looking at a bunch of shit. What do I have written down here? I was thinking maybe Soul Strategies, but I don't know if it's bounced today. It's up 5.4%, so it looks like we're getting a bounce. Looks like we're getting a bounce across Solana. So maybe I'll hold off on that one. I just want my cash buying power, man. Where is my fucking cash? Why is Robinhood such a piece of shit? This is ridiculous. What is this bullshit? It says literally sold, limit sell, 120,000 at 1266. Did it complete? It says filled. It says filled at 6:04 a.m. Central Time. And yet I can't get access to the $120,000 for buying shit? Is that real? Are you fucking serious? Fucking hate you, bro. Oh, I love their gold card, but this is pissing me off, man. I'm not going to lie. You don't have enough buying power. I have $120,000 fucking dollars. Fuck you, Robinhood. Oh, hey, it looks like my ally's up. I can do some stuff. Real quickly, I'm going to go back over here and just, you know what I'll do? I'll show you guys CNBC for now.
CapEx number, maybe under Apollo.
Yeah, I'll show you CNBC while I look at my stuff. I'll keep it live.
Credit in which they
I'll let you guys know what I trade.
The underlying, but basically have a long-term lease, and so you've got a Meta that's going to be paying and giving them a decent return on the invested capital there. So no let-up is what it seems like in terms of the willingness of the hyperscalers and others to spend, and OpenAI to have to spend on GPUs, and then you see what's going on though in the market.
Yeah, there's the Meta announcement about their Meta AI app,
right?
And your point about the Melius note today says Apple is the safe haven within the Mag 7. Why is that? Because their CapEx relative to others is a light spend. It just
that was Altman saying, well, maybe we'll come out with a social app. Yeah, and when Meta said, you know, we're going to come out with our own specific chat app.
He's become quite the trash talker.
He really has,
Maybe not just against Elon Musk, although this wasn't as personal toward Mark Zuckerberg.
Speaking of Musk, Tesla today down to 275 at the open. That would be the first violation of the 200-day since August. Right now down about 1%. But interestingly, didn't get any traction yesterday from the news that they applied for this chauffeur services license in California, which some believe would lead you to a robotaxi service after we see it in June, if we do.
If we do. And I know that headline yesterday didn't seem to affect the stock too much in terms of that trajectory. You see what it's up, obviously, over the last year. But much of the run-up into the election has now been erased. You remember the compensation, coming back to that, they're going to have another annual meeting not that long from now, and that has still not been settled. Of course, shareholders last year in the annual meeting voting really overwhelmingly to award that compensation to Musk that amounts to tens of billions. Not more. I got to check my latest math, but that's going to the Delaware Supreme Court.
That's just bullshit. I have to turn on margin with things that have closed.
It may not be till
I'll do that,
late in the
Thanks,
fall
John.
that we learn the actual outcome there. So you're going to have another annual meeting. It will be interesting, like how, in terms of Musk and how he spends his time right now, and what shareholders, got 30% of the shareholder base is retail. Now, many of them are firm and true believers, but you do wonder what, if anything, will come up there as well, given so much of the attention on the fact that,
I didn't get any more, but whatever, I'm in a good position.
Right, and then yesterday, of course, as Musk is ostensibly looking for government waste, comes out and says one solution would be to take the FAA air traffic control contract and give some of it to Starlink, which kind of gave us a look at Verizon shares yesterday.
I mean, the stock is 43% off the highs, Tesla. I do wonder if there's, to your point, a pain threshold where the calls get louder for him to return to the company, right, and get out of the Einstein building next to the office, next to the White House. Look, he's doing important work and clearly very dedicated to it for the country, but. And look, all the analysts we talk to say there are people in place running Tesla. It's fine.
Without a doubt, yes.
But Elon Musk is Tesla, and I just wonder if there's a certain point where he feels like he's got to get back there.
I think Elon's going to do what Elon wants. Yeah, but again, we're going to be running into. I mean, we got a few more months, but the annual meeting usually in May, so. And still haven't figured out his comp. By the way, if it does get ruled against at the Delaware Supreme Court, they've got to come up with something. It's going to be interesting to see everything in the mix there, given Musk's many roles. Guys, I do want to do an update on in the M&A world. There's a look at Tesla, of course. We haven't had a lot of deals this year. As we start March on Monday, in fact. we expected there'd be a lot. But one that we may get sooner rather than later, and perhaps many people, including myself, sort of unexpectedly, is this Walgreens buyout by Sycamore. Don't buy the stock on that.
Yeah, it's all good. It doesn't matter.
Reported on it previously. I've sort of reported on the ups and downs. The Journal had reported on the talks that I'd been aware of, but frankly, so many people thought there's no way this thing gets to the finish line. Then I said it was mostly dead a few weeks ago. Then I followed that up by saying it was alive. There's been a lot of reporting since then from both, I think, Bloomberg, but the FT yesterday as well, that I can confirm, because we're getting close, according to people familiar with the situation. And it is going to be, as the FT was reporting yesterday, sort of they're financing it in pieces, and it will ultimately be split up. You're going to have the roll-in of Stefano Pacino, one of the large shareholders there, of course, man who originally, put Boots, he owned Boots, put it together, bought Walgreens. But be careful in the name, because from what I'm hearing, and again, I'm not getting specifics in terms of exactly, you may not get anything that involves a premium at this point, and we've kind of watched the stock move, not to mention the complexity of the deal itself, as I said, sort of buying it, financing different parts of it, and then
I'll let you guys know when I'm done with my trades.
Having essentially Sycamore control the U.S. retail. Why you'd want to be in U.S. retail and own Walgreens and compete with the likes of Amazon, a lot of people may question, but apparently they have a plan. Deutsche Bank this morning kind of lends their voice to this and says, hey, take under, thoughts on the recent takeout news. They're basing it off of, I think, both the FT reporting and my saying that a couple weeks ago the deal was back alive. Deal strikes us as incredibly complicated and unlikely to be consummated at premium to current share price, highly difficult. I can confirm all of that at this point. Again, the idea being, first of all, it'll take quite some time, and again, people familiar, while not telling me specifics in terms of price, said don't expect that it's going to be much higher than here. But Sarah, when it comes to sort of how you
Talbot's and Taylor Walgreens.
How you refashion Walgreens, particularly given so much, as we know, in certain urban areas is under lock and key in these stores, pushing consumers to just go to Amazon and say it's fine, I'll get things delivered to my doorway. We'll see. And obviously pharmacy is an important role there, but we have not had a lot of deals, and this will be one of the largest of the year if, in fact, we do get it, as appears to be more likely than not.
Meantime, S&P briefly going negative, taking out yesterday's low. We're still about 40 points above the closing low of the year. VIX year-to-date high. Gold's down 40. Let's get to Bob Pisani. Hey, Bob.
Good morning, Carl. Well, a little bit of relief today on the PCE report, which was in line, and that's certainly good news because that's one of four big issues that the market's been dealing with. But still today, if you look at the market here, even with the S&P flat to modestly up, it's still being led by defensive names here. So Staples, healthcare leading, tech lagging, Palantir's down another $7 here. So Sarah was mentioning the leadership groups this year, and it's very clear it's defensive here, and it's been that way all year. Now, a lot of people really have wanted to see this kind of rotation with healthcare and consumer staples, financials, real estate, materials, energy, banks. Look at all of these things here. A lot of these were big losers last year, like energy, for example, taking up one of the leads here. And the laggards, of course, were among the best sectors last year. So communication services is basically flat. And that's primarily because Alphabet has been a problem for most of this year. But tech, we've seen double-digit declines in Broadcom and Salesforce and NVIDIA. And discretionary, that's largely the impact of Tesla and Amazon, I think. So here, there you see the individual stocks here with Tesla down 30%. Broadcom's a huge name in the semiconductor space. I mean, it's on number 2 past NVIDIA here, and Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. Meta's really the only big winner so far, and even that's off of its highs that we saw recently. Pretty amazing run for Meta. I look back and think of the good old days, like 6 weeks ago, we only had one issue to worry about, and life was very simple, because when you have a stew of only one issue, it's pretty simple to deal with. And at that time, the one issue was inflation and the Fed rate cuts. That's what we were trying to figure out. Now, today, with the PC in line, we're probably looking at 1 to 2 rate cuts on the year, something like that. So that's receding a little bit, but still there. But now we have three more issues that are sort of floating out there. These tariff risk issues with Canada and Mexico, and the tariffs in a few days, and new China tariffs. So we've got the Washington headline risk, we've got DOGE, we've got budget issues, and we've got this growth slowdown. You see this today in the weaker spending numbers that we saw in the consumption numbers here. That continues a series of kind of subpar economic numbers. And of course, we're dealing with high valuation. So it's tough moving forward when you've got this kind of complicated stew. You know, we used to talk about the Fed put, about the idea that the Fed would step in and cut interest rates if things really fell apart. Now, all this week, people are talking about whether there's a Trump put out there. Obviously, we have the situation. We've got lower rates.
Good. The call's
but, you know, we have these inflationary tariffs. They want lower rates, but we have these inflationary tariffs and a possible economic slowdown. Well, they don't want that. So we don't know if there is a Trump put or where that floor might be right now. That's sort of the source of a lot of debate right now.
Sorry, trying to figure all this out,
What you
guys.
don't want is an economic slowdown with tariffs and persistent inflation. Now you've got a real serious problem. And remember, finally, Sarah, the S&P is only 4% from the high. So it is going to be much tougher to push that a lot higher now. The pressure really is potentially on more downside at this point than getting to the upside. Sarah, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Bob Pisani, NASDAQ is negative right now. S&P 500 holding on to a gain of a little more than a tenth of a percent. We've got more economic data for you. Chicago PMI. Let's get to Rick Santelli with that. Rick.
Oh, here we go, guys.
Yes, Sarah, some better news from the Chicago PMI. This is the MNI's version of what's going on in Chicago, and we're expecting a number right around 40, and we were back-to-back under 40 the prior couple of months. It moves up to 45.5. Now, granted, it's not 50 or higher, which would be expansion. We haven't been above 50 since Nova of 23, but this is still the best month-over-month positive number in the Chicago PMI since September of last year, and it does underscore what's been going on with regard to manufacturing and all the issues associated. There's only been a handful of times where we've had three back-to-backs under 40. One was COVID-related. Prior to that, you had to go back to 2009. So pretty good news. Rates are sparking up just a little bit. But to show you how much we've fallen, right now we're currently at 403 in a 2-year. That's down 17 on the week. We're currently at 424 in a 10-year. That's down 19 basis points on the week. These are big numbers. Squawk on the Street will return after a short break.
All right, I think I'm done buying. I've done a lot. I've got one other order I'm trying to close, but whoever's selling this shit is pissing me off. We'll see. Let's see, what is it, up or down on the day? Let me refresh. I really want to get these at a better price, but it's like, all right, Jesse Kroniak, I'm 15M behind in the video, but my coin was not registering deposits on BTC, was sub 80,000 earlier. I was pissed as fuck. I don't know what you mean by that. Sorry if I'm missing a point. I apologize. Well, let me see here. My clean sparks. I got November's down 5 at 68. So I paid an extra, so they were probably flat on the day. That's okay. Let me see what else we got here. Open. These people. Oh, fine. Fucking drop this down, bitch. 1.72. You're catching up. What did you plan on selling? Yeah, I've done a lot of shit. I'll show you. I moved a decent amount of funds today. Still not totally done. There's other things I want to do, but honestly, I'm just going to chill. I had fun. I had a good time. I will show you. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking. Just trying to make sure there's nothing else I want to execute on. I like the TLT's up today. That's cool. What's it saying? I lost on ARKG. Ooh, losing on ARKG, huh? All right, fine. I'll buy more of that shit. Fuck you. 1 second. I got to buy ARKG. Archie's fucking with me today. Archie's down real hard. 0.65. Okay. Let's just see here. Another 300. Oh, it's not down that much. Whatever. Let's see. What can I buy these at? Boom. I'll take a hit. Hit me with your best shot. Oh, okay. These aren't done either. Well, fuck you. All right. I'll just show it to you. It looks like I thought I was lower than I was. That must have been hangover from yesterday. No, I was looking towards new ones, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I've got so much. Here, let me just show you what I traded. I'll go ahead and get that post out.
Have a good experience.
Watch gold today. We mentioned down almost $50. High for the year, $29.74, and that's the time where we saw a lot of target increase.
So I sold a bunch of MSTR. Sold a bunch of MSTR in Tesla to buy that. Let's do subs only and people that are here. All right, so that's it, guys. I bought CleanSpark calls November. I bought CleanSpark calls July. I bought MSTX, massive quantity, 5,000 shares. MSTX, 3,000 shares. BITX, 500 shares. I got more cash left over. I haven't done it all yet, but might do some more. I don't know. I might just chill too. Looks like today's good. We'll look at that Chicago data real quick that they were talking about. I just need to post this real fast in Discord, guys. Just give me 1 second. Let's see here. Today's trades. Oh. Can't type worth a shit. There we go. All right. What was I going to do? Day 52. Oh, yeah. Economic data. Let's look at this real quick. Sorry I was so lost in thought there. I've got it out there. So you can look on X. If you're subscribed, you can see it. And then on Discord. And then I just showed it a second ago, too. So if nothing else, and it's right here, too, technically. All right. What was I going to look at? Oh, yeah. Economic data. So what did we get? Chicago PMI. Just going to look at this. All right, Chicago PMI closed at, well, let me go back. What did it say? 45.5, way higher than 40.6 and 42. So still in contraction territory, well underneath 50, but the highest number we've seen since September. And if we go out the last 3 years here, really, once we pass some of that 47.4 zone, we'll get to the highest levels we had since 2023. So I think there's nothing but up in regard to PMI. So I'm very excited about it. No MST. I would have gotten MSTU, but evidently they're holding the funds for probably like 24-hour trading rules or some bullshit because of my IRA, even though I sold the one. So I don't have cash. So I'm just sitting on it, and I can't spend it. And so, no MSTU. That was the plan, though. The plan was to buy some MSTU. But I do not have the funds available. So it looks like I wait. Can Trump not talk today? Oh, I hope he does. Drop this bitch more. I'd like to get a lower price. Well, guys, Mara's up. MSTR is up. CleanSpark's up. Iron's up. Archie is down still. TLT is up 0.63%. We're seeing Palantir suffering, but again, we knew that was going to happen. And Tesla's doing all right. So I feel like today's a pretty good day. I feel like I'm leaving you in good hands. So I'm going to go ahead and play out some music here. I feel like we're going to listen to this song again because it was just so good. All right, guys. Peace out. Love you. And hope you enjoyed the stream for the last 2 hours. If you didn't watch the whole thing, you need to. There's a lot of good information in it. Otherwise, I will see you guys Monday, and then I'll get my portfolio updates published over the weekend. Peace out. Bye, guys.
You fucker! You laughed, you mocked, you shut us down. Call us false names try to run us out. You pushed too hard, took too much. Now you're the ones who've lost their touch. You rigged the game, you changed the rules. Gaslit the world, played us for fools. But tides have turned, the storm is near. Cry all you want, we're still here. Faithful, fuck around and find out. You tried to rule, but your time ran out. Faithful, the silent won't stay quiet now. We're taking back what you burned to the ground. Censorship, lockdowns, all your control. Built your throne on a house of gold.